Yo internet, welcome back. Today's the day. I'm gonna go over the exhaust I made for the car, to made up the Coyote headers to the rest of the 3-valve exhaust, very budget, and what you've all been waiting for and what I've been super excited for is firing this Coyote up for the very first time in this car since I bought the engine almost a year and a half ago. Like, we're talking 23 months. No, wait, you know the math. Whatever a year and a half ago is in months, it's almost that. Anyway, so let's get you caught up. Okay, to start things off here, I have the factory mid pipe from the 3-valve, and I bought these Cook's collectors. You can buy them separately like this. They were about 52 bucks each from Summit, 2.5 inch. Yeah, I know, Coyotes come with a little bigger, but the collectors are actually 2 3/4. The ball on this 2.5 inch female actually fits on there perfect. They slotted that. I was sure that's gonna work. So just gonna bolt these onto the collectors, bolt that back onto the cat back or axle back, and then see how everything's lines up. And I was gonna attempt to like expand these a little bit, but probably just gonna cut them and make a butt weld and call it a day, because I don't have any dies to like expand these and don't feel like taking anywhere to do that. So it should be just fine. I'm confident in my welding, even if you're not. So let's do this dance. So I got the exhaust up there. Once I started eyeballing things up, I was worried this is gonna be too long. We're gonna have to abandon the stock hangers, which is fine, but by the time I cut this to about where the mandrel bent, or whatever, these lines here will line up with a nice straight section of both the pipes. And these aren't all the way over, but the pipes are currently where this pipe ends. Like the clamp is way further back and the axle back is mostly lined up. So now it'll allow me to mark my cuts and go from there. Luckily there's a lot of play in the system, and so I'll be able to play with it and get it mocked up and probably tack it in the car and then take it off and then fully weld it on the bench. And if it doesn't line up perfect once I do make my first 4 cuts here, as far as like the width, I'll just have to either cut, and hopefully it's too wide, because then that means I can just take a section out of that, re-weld it, or I'll have to cut it, make it wider. But it looks like it's just about perfect, so we'll cross that bridge when we get to it if width is an issue. So my master plan here actually came together. It's just that the pipe's not together, but I wanted to touch on some things that I had to do. It actually was wider. And I've taken almost that whole pipe so that I could spread this out to line these bad boys up. And I should be able to, I'm gonna tack one side so that it's really flush, and then adjust this side, because now it's really easy to bend wide and apart. I tried doing it without the slot, and I don't have a torch or any way to, I try to use my press. I'm just like, whatever, we'll cut it. So I'm gonna tack it in there, tailpipes are in a good spot, and then adjust this accordingly and tack it real good, and then take the whole now off-road or free-flowing exhaust out and give her some good welds, and then we'll be done here. I showed you how to make a little slit to just widen this thing out by about 1/2 inch. Got these bad boys tacked in there and ready to burn them in there for good. We'll see how well the welds turn out. The stainless, they're both stainless, but I think they're different grades, so yeah. So that's how to adapt your factory 3-valve H-pipe to some long tubes on a Coyote. All right, a few cuts and welds later, we got our exhaust system done. Very budget. So as you know, the catbacks on 05 to 9s are only 2.5, but I don't think we'll restrict it that much. And I think it'll sound pretty good with the little H in there and some Borla, whatever the hell's came on this card when I bought it. Yeah, pretty pumped how that turned out. Being very budget. Speed Daddy headers, you know. So now all that's left is to change them gears and this thing will be fired up. Actually, I'm gonna fire it up before that, but yeah. All right, internet, it is time. Got some distilled water, gonna put a bunch of water wetter in it because we're in Arizona. I don't really need coolant. And fill this thing up, load the tune, and hopefully party. Found my first leak. I don't know if you're, yep, yeah, actually I might be able to see it. Shit. All right, so I can't remember how this came apart, but I have a feeling that I might have put the O-ring on the wrong side of the thermostat. Rook move, put this together probably over a year ago or more when it was on the engine stand in my attached garage. So, you know, humbling moment here, but is what it is. So I just verified on the internet machine that thermostat goes in first and then the gasket. But it did seem like, I'm gonna do this without any parts in here, that this was compressed all the way and might not have been sealing the gasket first. I'm gonna look at my other Coyote for reference, because that's also first gen in the Fox. And maybe this wasn't tight. I might just add some gasket maker on the O-ring just to make sure. But I can't remember. I'm fairly certain I had the O-ring on the wrong side, which is a dunce move, but nothing lost. I clean my drain pans really well, so I'm gonna recycle the couple gallons that came out. So still got 2 fresh gallons to put water wetter in, so all's well. Nothing too shabby. The water level looks to be above the thermostat housing here, and no drippy drips. Oh, not the way I wanted to start, but what do you do? That's life. So I'm gonna keep filling this up and then load the tune. Right. Coolant leak seems to be fixed. Now bringing our attention to the RTD Plus. So this is where we're gonna load the tunes, and fortunately my phone is also the device I need to use for the TDN app. So I'm just gonna screen record and see what I can pull out of there, maybe do some voiceover. It's got the app open here, and we're gonna sync the files essentially to pull my base tune RC from Lund and transfer it from the network to the device. I was a little nervous coming from the SCT software doing this over Bluetooth, but I gotta hand it to him. Using this on your phone and just using the network was really, really slick, and be hard to go back to the other cars with SCT. So now that we have the tune in the device, essentially, we're going to write it to the PCM. And I know I said earlier I was leery about the Bluetooth, and I thought you transfer from the phone to the device over Bluetooth, but not like flash it directly. But I'm still not certain on that. But as long as you keep the phone close enough and your network's good, it shouldn't be a problem. And it's still, even though we're not up to the actual writing process, it took a total of 4 minutes to just flash the computer, which was, coming from the SCTX3 and the 4 is way faster, and it's just the new age, I guess, with this RTD. So yeah, as you can see, it takes about 4 minutes. I have this clip sped up a little bit, and I take some time to put my phone on Do Not Disturb so I don't get any calls or any interruptions. I think that's important when you're doing this. But yeah, I'm not gonna make you sit here and watch 3 minutes of progress bar go across, but you get the idea. Tune's loaded. Oh man, I think I'm gonna get the car a little lower on the ground and disconnect the fuel injectors, see if it'll crank over, get some oil up in there, especially in the heads. phasers and whatnot, and then hopefully party. All right, so I'm just gonna crank it over. Like I said, fuel injectors are disconnected. Clutch feels whatever. Well, apparently I left a couple hooked up. I just disconnect these a little bit. Apparently got to pull them out all the way I did on this bank. We're reconnected. I'm gonna fire this up. First thing I'm gonna check, make sure I got fuel pressure on the dash, or oil pressure, and then make sure our fuel pressure while it's running is good. And then move on to the coolant, watch that bleed. Pressure's there, so just gonna let it run a while and well, it runs. Throttle's a little laggy, but it did rev up good. I'll do some later, but idiot me, I never put this on. It's somewhere in the bellows. They're making some noise, but hopefully nothing too drastic. But yeah, this is great. There's no check engine light, traction control lights on, and seems to want to party. So you're just adding lightness. Of course, when I got it, dropped it, it fell out of the car. Just full of work moves today, but I can't help it. Made that clear in the video, but it did hold at 55 while it was running. So until I get it on the road, I'll see what it actually does. But I might actually want to look at that when it was stumbling under part throttle. All right, I'll give you guys some sauce here. Not to mention, got the AC on. Oh, it wasn't that cold before, but I looked, the compressor is running. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there it is. So it is 104 out, and usually the system is probably lower. I'm not sure if it's going to just the gauge being so hot out. When I engaged the AC, the fan kicked on full, and you can tell the compressor kicked in, and I got as cold air as it did before the swap. So yeah. Now that I know everything works, charging system, all the gauges except the speedometer wasn't working. I didn't have the drive shaft connected, but I put in gears and no registry on the speedometer. So I'm gonna ask Elon what I'm gonna do there. Worst case, I'll have to change the pin from 36 to 14 in here and dial it in the tune. And now that I know everything works, and this is a separate harness, so I can loom this all nice and make that all look factory finally. AC was working, the high fan kicked on, and like I said, the temperature is probably too hot in Arizona here to have the compressor kick off. And it's probably a little low on the charge, to be honest. I'm fairly certain when I had the compressor dangling here, it had a front seal leak, and I recharged it about last year in summer, but air was cold, nothing was over freezing. This is cool, hot, everything is normal. Zero leaks anymore. So pretty pumped that this thing is finally running. So I think it's time to do the gears and get some fresh fuel in it. I did have you might have noticed in the video a little throttle tip in stumble. I did get a chance to see the gauge while I was doing that. That held, and so it's not a fueling issue. I did, for the limited data I get on that TDN app, it showed that the MAF was at 248. I'm guessing that's temperature, and which means something is open in that circuit possibly. So I might not be wrapping that up just yet now that I think about it. So yeah, this is a pretty big moment, and everything in the core of my theory into this works. And I want to thank the guys that have bought spreadsheets. There's been 4 or 5 guys who've bought spreadsheets from me already without even having the proof of the pudding. Well, here's all the pudding right there. And so keep that in mind if you're thinking about doing this swap. And so yeah, I'll pretty pumped. So that should wrap up this episode. Might be a short one. We just did the exhaust and literally addressed a coolant leak. I took the bumper off. So it didn't have to do much except load the tune, see if it ran. It did. The only code was a skip shift solenoid, so pretty good on there, and the throttle tip in, but we'll dial that all in, and of course I will document that all for you. So please like this video, and please consider subscribing to keep up to date on all my Coyote business. So we'll catch you next time.